Remember, please hit like and subscribe for me. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go.
Hi everyone, my name is Anne-Marie Band. Today is Friday, November the 14th, and this is the Moneyball Morning Report. Charts by TrendSpider and Gamma Flows by the very amazing MentorQ. What are we staring down, right? Government back to work, all kinds of fun things going on, 50-year mortgages, 15-year car loans, carrying your mortgages with you, who knows, all kinds of things, back to work. And the market, it continues to rotate down. Now, a couple of days ago, I said, hey, this market feels bad. Something feels off, right? I think I might have said it yesterday morning. I don't know when I said it, but it doesn't feel right. Now, you might go, oh, please, stop with the feels. Tell me what you're seeing. And this is an interesting thing about working in the market for many, many years. There are things that your mind catches that it can't put into words. The longer you sit in a space, there's a different kind of knowledge that comes from an intimate relationship with anything, right? Whether you're a brain surgeon or a market technician or an investor or school teacher for that matter, right? There are things that you know that are hard to explain. So if I try to put into words what feels broken in the market or sickly is, first of all the big news that was coming out that we could not catch a bid. We could not rise higher. And so we just saw a pervasive bid down. This is simply a repricing. If we stare along this gigantic framework here from the beginning of October, right? So just about a month and a week or so, we can see that we're caught in a very big range. We go from the bottom of the range to the middle of the range, back to the bottom of the range, to the top of the range, to the middle of the range, hanging around at the middle to the bottom of the range, to the middle of the range, to the top of the range, and now all the way back down to the bottom of the range. So what is this telling us? A couple of things. One, we're caught in a range. But two, we've got a rotation from the big instruments that have been holding the market higher to other instruments in the sector. Remember, money doesn't leave, it just gets repositioned. And that's because so much money is in the act of investment, quotations, right? Retail participation is very high, and so that also might give people a few wiggles. That being said, there are always opportunities to find in the market, particularly if we trade trend. And the market has a pervasive bid underneath it. Why? Because every single money manager on earth is going to tell you time in the market beats timing the market, which may or may not be true. I don't believe that that's true, and that's because I'm a market timer. But it's neither here nor there. What we have done is broken the trend line, just like we did on November the 7th, and we'll have to see what happens here. My thought is that we come back in and try to retest the 67.50, and then another decision is made. It seems clear to me that we are in some kind of compression zone, obviously. So what do we look for today? Yesterday we had a tremendous amount of bearish flow that was outsized. We have negative trend, we have negative momentum, all of that. We are well below the 0 DTE put call, the put wall. The 0 DTE call wall is 6,820. The put wall is 6,800. Now, that's a 20-point wide formation. It's pretty insane. So they've lost it. The 0 DTEs are on the back foot again. The folks playing 0 DTEs have had their hat handed to them in a couple of ways because of the increased intraday vol. But what are we looking at as a floor? Big fat round number, 6,700. Point of control, 6,780. call wall 7,000, put wall 6,500, right? Very far below us. What do we anticipate? We anticipate that buyers will try to come in potentially at the 6650, right? 6655, or easily at the 6700. That's where they've been battling for the last couple of hours anyway, right? This is the zone they've been battling. Bounces up into the range, send us back into, look at the volume profile here. The pocket is so thick. It's really quite incredible. It's quite incredible. So, if you were a trader staring a look at this, you would try to scalp along here and then potentially rotate backwards. But we definitely have a trimming of risk. Advancers to decliners yesterday ended the day at negative 1,500. The dollar is at 99 again. It fell from 100, little over 100. The bonds bounced, but still range bound. And that's what we're staring down there. So what's the play today? Bounces or sells, but this could easily be a reversal zone. And it is Friday. Now, that doesn't mean that this Friday will be bullish, but a lot of Fridays are bullish. They bounce off the floor. And if we're trading this really big, ugly pattern, it would stand to reason that we try to make a bullish go of it right here. That being said, that put wall all the way down at 6,500, and the next line in the sand from resistance slash support looks like about 6,600. So a lot of room to run in either direction. What do I tell you? You know, if you're trading your regular chart formations, just pay attention. If you can't get above at least the midpoint of your prior candlestick, you are going to head further to the south, right? So don't try to pick a bottom. Or if you pick a bottom and you sit around for time and time and time and time, and you notice momentum is drifting, and you notice you can't get up over the VWAP, get out of the trade. It's just as simple as that. Let's head over to the Qs. Qs looking pretty dastardly. Mercy. All right. Trending flows deep. We are sitting at a gamma line, 24,700. That's pretty important. Let's go to the 4-hour and see what gives. Value area low, 24,730. Value area high, 25,800. The big call wall, 26,000. The big put wall, 24,000. 0 DTE put support, 25,000. We're trading well underneath it, right? The call wall, 25, the 0 DTE call wall, 25,400. So remember, what the trader who sold these options want to do is get price back up into here. If they cannot, they're going to have to add to the position in the direction of flow. So if the put wall gets broken, unless it quickly recovers, they have to begin also selling the instrument. And this is what's happening here. We're at a pretty solid space of noise. So let's work on that. 24,630. 24,420. And then the big savage move on October the 10th, 24,158. What do I suspect? A deep wick down that potentially begins to bounce into the end of the day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Everything that we got on Friday to Monday, we simply gave back the rest of the week. And so here we are at net zero, unchanged from last Friday, thereabouts. But we do want to see a bounce here, or we've got a deeper rotation, right? And that deeper rotation sends us into these lower zones. I don't think that we go to 24,000, but you never know. So Sorry about that noise right there. It's my daughter's venting system. Okay, let's take a peek at oil. Very interesting. Oil bounce, bottom of the range, value area low. Bounced right off of the value area low area. That's pretty interesting. That's the 58.13 we were talking about yesterday. I said, hey, I think they try to create a bottom. As long as we stay above 58.13, we've got our chance at buying the dip. And wow, what a dip. Look at what it comes into. This time it comes into the VWAP at 60. The big call wall still at 61. The big put wall still down here at 55. The 0 DTE put wall is 59. The 0 DTE call wall is 59.50. What are we doing? We went all the way up to 60 and some change, 60.50. If you'll recall, that 0 DTE call wall was there earlier in the week. It's now been replaced by another gamma level. And so what are the traders trying to do? Get it in between the call and the put. If they can't, they're going to continue to move in the direction of the break outside of the walls. Okay? So value area high all the way up at $61.85. Value area low right there at that $58 mark. What's going on with this? Still looks pretty bearish. I actually did not expect this price action to dip that hard. You can see how porous this trend line is, so I don't love it. The bottom, yes, the top, no. But clearly, we can see something is going on. If you see it break above $60.40, probably long action back up into 61. So far, I would expect that big bounces are shorts, deep dips are longs, but that they really do try to hold the floor here. Right? The goal is for price action to hold the floor, 57.76. Natural gas, interestingly, also rising yesterday. Diesel also on the run. Very interesting energy things afoot. Gold. Now, of course, I'm the gal that says, hey, listen, I think gold is done for the year. And yesterday, or the day before yesterday, it sure did look like I was pretty wrong. Today, not so much. Here's my thought. Gold is a little overheated. Retail falling in finally. And so when retail comes to the show, it's always kind of the end game. Sadly. What are we staring down? Is this a flag pattern? I'd venture to say it probably is a flag. My suspicion is that we head right back down to 4,050. Now, it could be, again, that I'm wrong, and we will stop and hold the frame right at around this 40, 70-ish zone. John and I are looking at those same things. He's using volume profile to assess. I'm just using my eyeballs, right? And so I prefer to use something technical like John's assessment, and he is looking at that space of 4,074, 4,080 as a support floor for this chart. It could be that we hold 4,100. I mean, trend is up. Momentum is down, but trend is clearly up, so it's looking for a floor of support. And that very easily could be 4,074. My suspicion is that we sit in a big box for a while. Since gold tends to do that. For months and months and months, it will begin to move. But what it has shifted is its volatility measure. Excuse me. And so that shift in vol is providing lots of opportunities to trade. Now, what are we looking for? Inventory accumulation right there at 4,100. We should see the first pass bounce come into that zone. They're going to try and hold that area. Try and get it up above 4,138. That's the first dip buying space to consider. I would use micros, right? I definitely would use micros to sort this out because the moves have been pretty sharp. If we bounce, then 4170 is our resistance zone, and the VWAP happens to be at 4160 as we speak right now. So that 4170 gives us that range to consider, right? And then if it holds that, we're back up, to those bigger levels. Yeah, I would like to say I have very solid conviction in the short in gold, but I do not. I do not. This move here really was something to behold. All right, let's take a look at SPY. Oh, wait, I didn't talk about the call walls. Duh. Okay, so the call wall is 4,250. That's the big call wall. The put wall is 3,950. Okay, so we got about $300 in between those two spaces. The 0 DTE put support is 4,123.25. 4,130, excuse me. And that's going to be where we need to get over. If we can hold over that zone, we're in a good shape, but please remember what happened to us several days past. We sat in this monstrosity of a box for the entire day. And so that could be a repeat of what we're staring down. Let it step aside and see if it can recapture this 4,104, and then you can trade it to the middle of the box if you like. That would be a great trade. But buyers really did come in hot and heavy at this 4,100 area. We have to be very careful about that if we're thinking about going short down into these lower levels. Okay? 30-minute charts give us a clean step down, but the volume has been pretty significant for pre-market action. So we'll see what happens. We'll see when the real volume kicks into the market and the traders get to their desks. They'll see what's going on here in terms of continuation or reversal. And that's what we'll stare down to. Now we'll go to SPY. Okay. First, the 4-hour. Sideways action. Value area low, 658.50. Value area high, 679.70. Support floor. We've got, what happened here? Support floor is probably this zone. And that's right near the big put wall, 660. The big call wall is still at 700. And so they're rotating these weekly ones around, but still holding us in this sideways patch, very, very sideways. The big spikes down to the bottom of the put wall. If that occurs, watch for the reversal to recapture the put wall. That gives us the long. If it fails the put wall again, then that gives us the short, right? What do we want to look at overall? Just a sideways mess. $650 is the low end of this edge. My thought was that we would eventually come in and test, I don't know, I always, on this rise up, I always expected that we would come back and test this low volume pocket right here at about the 610 area, where we had that breakout formation. We just kept running So I would not be surprised if, in the grand scheme of things, we do rotate back down into these spaces, give the price action a breath so the market can rebuild some semblance of strength. That's not going to feel great, but as a tactical trader, you can make a lot of money. All right? And that's what we'll be planning to do. So, watch for these edges. Bounces or sell zones as it sits right now, but we're coming into sort of a critical support zone, so that could turn around. Why is the market rolling over when we have all this good news? Because there's other news that's getting pretty important for these traders to watch. And remember, we're in the middle of buybacks. So buybacks are even boosting the price action right now, the company buybacks. So the fact that we're falling under this backdrop, it's really liquidity moving out of the market. Let me see what happened to Bitcoin overnight. 95. 0DTE put wall, 95,000, 96,000. 0DTE call wall, 100,500 looks like. Oh, the put wall and the 0DT put wall appear to be, oh no, here is the put wall way above. The monthly put wall is at 100,000. 0DT put wall is at 96,000. So, once again, traders on the back foot, the put traders, the short put traders on the back foot as this price action continues. Last thing, you know, this is where I expect this chart to go. Actually, I think Bitcoin's going to zero, but nobody wants to hear that. And you can still play a ton while it's happening, right? So take a look at this. This is a gigantic area of support. I mean, gigantic. If they cannot hold this, it potentially is going to be a measured move. And if we have a box that goes from high to low, and we replicate that box, it sends us way lower than these levels. It sends us back to 60, right? And of course, we know a bunch of multi-billionaires have liquidated their Bitcoin. A fair bit of Bitcoin was liquidated largely up here. And so, you know, a lot of people wouldn't want to see this kind of rotation coming back all the way to the 60 pocket. But from a measured move perspective, it certainly is a possibility. Anyway, that's just it for me. I'll see you all on the streams. Take care.